I remember going to probably one of my first business networking meetings ever. And I was shaking to the bone because I knew that we were about to give our 30-second elevator pitch. The anxiety is just so incredibly high. I literally was just stumbling over every single word that I was trying to say, because what was happening in that moment was I knew what to say, but I couldn't let myself say it. My body didn't have that trust between my mind and my body. Welcome back to The Reset. I am Shaun Tucker, human performance scientist and authority architect. We are here in the living lab, documenting the struggle, the science, and the shift for every high performance dad and founder who is ready to bridge the gap between ambition and their presence. Today, we're diving into the topic of how you can really know the intersection between performance and city, what that really means and how does it show up to help you master the man underneath the performance. Because performance without authenticity is robotic, it's AI. So it's really finding that intersection so you know exactly how you can be whenever it is, whatever you do, you can just be yourself. So many years ago, and I'm talking not that many years ago, if I'm being brutally honest. Probably 3 years ago, I remember going to probably one of my first business networking meetings ever. And I was shaking to the bone because I knew that we were about to give our 30-second elevator pitch. And if you know anything about networking, it's for those people who go the first time, it's most often it's the only time they go. They go once and they don't go back because they have a terrifying experience. You know, they're put on the spot where they got to share about their business or whatever. And the anxiety is just so incredibly high. But I persisted through that. Because I know that what I have to offer is so much more than how I feel about it and my experience going through. So I always lean into growth, or do my best to lean into growth, I should say. I don't always do it because sometimes it scares the shit out of me. And this was one of those moments where it was scaring the absolute crap out of me. And I was jittery as anything. I probably had a little bit too much caffeine on that day, which made things worse. And then it was my turn to give the 30-second elevator pitch. And so I started saying and thinking, what was I going to say? I'm Shaun Tucker. And I literally was just stumbling over every single word that I was trying to say. Because what was happening in that moment was I knew what to say, but I couldn't let myself say it. My body didn't have that trust between my mind and my body. Because when you're in flow, when you're actually speaking from a conscious place, you're taking the wheel, you're taking the steering wheel of the car that's going out of control. And sometimes you'll overcorrect. Sometimes you'll get it perfect. And it's really a conscious practice of getting better and progressing further that makes anyone go from being really bad at something to really fantastic at something. And so if I look back, and it probably wasn't 3 years ago, it was more like 4 years ago actually. I remember it was 4 years ago. And since that time, you know, I've been on stages, I've given talks on different things to do with performance, mental health, and how do we optimize our interiority, so our gut, our brain, our bodies, our minds, and how do we basically perform at a better capacity. Because performance to me is when someone is performing, either they're going in, they have the perfect strategy and they're just they've really thought about what they're going to say, and then they perform it. They orchestrate it. They've practiced it so many times that they can do it unconsciously. But to me, that's not authentic. That's really not authentic at all. Because the whole point of this is to become conscious. Because human beings have the ability to be conscious. Otherwise, we are kind of turning into like any other animal, right? We have an ability to be conscious about how we show up, how we are, what we say, whether we are in the driver's seat or not. You know, there's certain processes we have in our body which would be really cool if we could become conscious of that. Let's just say, you know, understanding or feeling every single pump that your heart puts out, every little blood vessel dilating and constricting. That would be pretty wild to become conscious of. But coming back to why it's important to understand the intersection between authenticity and performance is your performance will skyrocket the more comfortable you are being yourself. And yourself leaning into being uncomfortable and going through the experience and doing it for the sake of growth. Because the best speakers in the world are not, or the most engaging speakers in the world, people like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King. You think they had the most well-rehearsed speech that they could think of? You straight away can tell when someone is citing a rehearsed speech or a scripted talk versus someone who gets up, gives a talk that is purely from their heart. You can connect to one and you struggle to connect to the other. Because one is coming from a place of true authenticity. It's an expression of truth. And what is true for you is your individual truth, right? It's probably not going to be the same like anyone else's. In fact, it can't be the same as anyone else's. Which is why it's more important now than ever that you practice being yourself. Which means dropping the armor, dropping the expectations, being really poor at something, being bad at something, being okay with that. Not judging yourself for being crap at whatever task, whatever skill, and not getting caught up in the compulsive cycles of overthinking what you could have done better. Or if I could go back, I would change it and do this. Because those compulsive thought patterns are just drilling in more unconscious kind of behaviors and patterns that you're still not good enough. And the fact of the matter is, you are good enough. Do you know what the chances of you even existing are? The fact that the Creator said, yes, you get to exist, means that you are good enough. So that should be more than enough. But the problem is you get into your head. And I get it because I do too. This is why it's a practice. It's progressing. It's getting a little bit better. You first have to be bad before you get better. You first have to be crap before you get good. You can't be great until you are good. And you can't be the world's best until you've gone through each level. Because the thing about this game is you can't skip levels. You can't skip levels. But what you can do is you can transfer those learnings, those capabilities, those skills somewhat so it's quicker to move through those levels. But you can't skip the levels. And life will keep keep on and continue to humble you until you realize that and have to go back to the foundation and do it all again. So, that is it for today's episode of The Reset. If you're ready to stop being if you are ready to stop being a passenger in your own life and start being the architect of your legacy, head over to shauntucker.com.au and grab the free reset guide. Head over to shauntucker.com.au/reset and grab the 7-day reset guide. Remember, most people wait for their life to change. We architect the choice. Change your state, choose your life. I'm Shaun Tucker. I'll see you in the next one.